Hello again. I usually complain about different police abuses, and I will continue to do that as I see fit. But today I want to talk about something different. There's been talk on some of the right-wing news outlets about this new book by Peter Schweizer called Clinton Cash. It's not out yet, but I guess it's coming pretty soon, and some of the material has gotten out there, and it's very confusing to me since I'm just a little guy. But some of the main points really do outrage me, and I'm surprised that it hasn't outraged the public. That's my reason for speaking about it today. You know, I can't believe there's no outrage. There's very little talk about it, actually, especially on the liberal news outlets. There's very little talk about it. You know, there's kind of like wanting to sweep it under the rug. But I think it deserves a little bit more looking into. And supposedly the Clinton Foundation has been receiving large sums of money, the millions and millions of dollars, from people in foreign corporations, and it appears that they're getting favors from the U.S. government for these donations to the Clinton Foundation. That's what's in question right now. And the Clintons are downplaying it as just a coincidence that they got these donations, these very large donations, and then they got favors or favorable outcomes to what they were looking for from our government. And one of those favors appear to be a deal by a Canadian company which sold its share of uranium, which is about said to be 20% of the uranium in the United States. That's a lot of uranium. To a Russian company. The Russian company bought this uranium from the Canadian company, which owned, I guess, the mines in the United States, totaling 20% of the uranium in the United States. So now a Russian company owns this uranium that's in our country, in our mines. And it's just really funny. Apart from the Clintons allegedly getting money to help make this deal work, apart from that, you know, because it's going to be hard to dig into their dealings since she erased something like 30,000 emails. It's going to be hard to dig into that. But just putting that aside, we know the Clintons are crooks as it is, so let's just put that to the side for a minute, just for this scenario here. Our uranium has been sold to a Russian company. It's sold to the Russians. But it has been approved by the United States, and I'm going to name the different government agencies which signed off on this deal. They had to approve it unanimously for it to work, for it to go through. I guess it's called the CFIUS board. I've never heard of it, but that's the board that had to approve it. And on this board, there is at least these many departments. I don't know if I'm missing one or two of them, but I'm going to read the ones off that I know for sure were part of this deal. The Secretary of State signed off on this deal. They approved it. Now, who was head of the Secretary of State? Hillary Clinton. Homeland Security, the Defense Department, the Commerce Department, the Energy Department, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the State Department, and the Secretary of Treasury. All of these agencies approved this deal to allow our uranium to be sold to Russia. Now I don't know if they've got rocks in their head or what, because what is the only thing that uranium can be used for? Duh, making nuclear bombs, right? Nuclear weapons. And we're attempting to keep these weapons out of the hands of Iran, supposedly. Although with Obama, I think he's probably going to give it to him on a silver platter. But we're supposedly trying to keep these nuclear weapons away from anybody. You know, we don't want to blow up the whole world. Why in the world would the United States allow Russia to buy our uranium? And every single agency unanimously approved of this deal. What's the matter with them? That's where my outrage is. I don't know all the little details of this deal. You know, I'm just a little guy, you know, sitting back in the sidelines hearing this stuff. But I mean, that's just like a no-brainer. I mean, how could they allow that to happen? And another thing, why did it take this book coming out, which everybody is saying the guy has no evidence? You know, Peter Schweizer doesn't have any evidence. He's just making a book to hurt the Clintons and Hillary's election. But why would it take this book for this to come out? Because before the talk of this book, I didn't hear anything about this deal. So there is some credibility to it, at least, because it did bring that out, and that is a fact that this deal did happen. The part where the Clintons maybe made millions and millions of dollars, that's remains to be seen right now. Although I kind of think they did, but it has to be proven. They say it's just a coincidence that they got these millions of dollars from these people, and every time they collected money from these foreign governments and foreign corporations, they just happened to receive favorable outcomes to whatever they wanted. That's a coincidence. That's all. That's what Hillary was saying when she was interviewed about it. Just a coincidence, you know. Well, what coincidence is it that you're putting us in danger by giving those that uranium to foreign governments? You're putting my life in danger. You're putting my kids' life in danger, and my grandkids' life in danger. In fact, you're putting all of our lives in danger, because those bombs could come back at us. Those bombs could be used against some other country that might be our allies. You're not doing any good. How did that deal possibly help the American people? I'd like an answer to that one. How did that deal help the American people? It could only have hurt the American people in the future. You're putting all of our lives in danger. A bunch of morons. You know, I just want to use this example here. The government's always out for our safety, right? You can see it in many different ways. I can't think at the top of my head all of them, but I'm just going to say for one, the red light cameras. I'm in the Chicago area, and there's these red light cameras all over the place. If you just inch up on the white line in front of the traffic light, you just inch up a little bit, and you cross that line a little bit, boom, the flash goes off, $100 fine. And it's supposed to be for your safety. And if you don't pay that fine right away, it goes up to $200 for your safety. So there's all these governments, local and federal, are out for your safety. Another example would be the seatbelt law. That law was made for your safety. So, I mean, how does this uranium deal help our safety? What could it possibly do to help our safety? In fact, you're putting the safety of all Americans in danger with your antics So, you want to talk about safety? Let's talk about it then. How did this help the American people? That's my rant for today. I assume this is going to start growing. These allegations are going to grow, and hopefully the Clintons will be investigated for this, because this is an outrage, and not just the Clintons. All the agencies who signed off on this should be looked into. But the one problem with that is, who's going to look over them? You think the American people are stupid, right? We're just a bunch of monkeys or something, and you're just going to do whatever you guys want to do, and forget about the safety of the American people. Forget about what you're just going to hide it from them. In fact, another thing is, Obama said when he ran for president, there's going to be more transparency in the government. Well, I don't see that one bit. If anything, this is the worst presidency I've ever witnessed. We all thought George Bush was bad, right? Well, this Obama has got to be the king of bad presidents. He's the least transparent. I'm just so disgusted. What do we got to do? Start a civil war against the government? We got to march to the Capitol and demand justice here? What do we have to do to get a decent president and people in office to do the right thing for the American people as we pay them to do? What do we have to do? I'd like to hear some comments from other people to see, because I'm at a loss for words. I just don't know how to prevent these type of deals from happening, and these government officials who are just so crooked and thinking of themselves, making deals and pocketing money, and just forgetting about the American people, which they're put in office to represent. What do we have to do? Do we have to start a civil war? Is that the only way out of this? Because your guys' actions are going to start one. That's my prediction. If you don't stop, and I don't think you're stopping. I don't think there's no stopping you. So, the American people should be outraged, and hopefully there'll be a movement to put a stop to this any further abuses of the American people. I'd be interested in your comments on this upcoming story. Okay, thanks for listening again.